it. Let's get into our analysis and our breakdown. This week we got Gabriel Mowgli Benitez coming in as solid 22-8 veteran of the Octagon, coming in at 5'8" and a 71-inch reach. His opponent Billy Cartino coming in at 15-3. Also with a height of 5'10" and 70-inch reach, so pretty comparable there. Let's go back to Gabriel. Coming off a win where he displayed a flurry of different moves, coming out and just absolutely dominating, looking like a fucking whirly dervish. I don't know what the fuck that means, but he ended the fight with a knee to the body. And, his kicks were on point. His hands were on point. His opponent, Billy Q, like I said, he's coming off a loss to Gavin Tucker, who's no slouch in his own right. Looked good in the fight, but slowed down. A lot of the body shots did him in my opinion. Other than that, he had a nice old big win streak dating back to 2016 before his loss to Gavin Tucker. Zach, what are your initial thoughts? I'll get into mine a little bit more, but Billy Q, Gabriel Benitez, what do you see? What do you see, bro? Nah, shit, we lost Zach.
Brother Gage, you ever seen Rocky?
I have.
You ever seen any sports movie where the good guy just wins?
The good guy always wins.
I
Except for Apollo Creed.
Except for Apollo Creed, and I hate to base my analysis off of that. I really hate to say something based off of that, especially because Gabriel Benitez is probably the better technical striker here. And Gabriel Benitez has some impressive finishes under his belt, but Billy Quarantillo's ground game. Something about Billy Quarantillo's awkward striking and something about that kid's heart, man. Something about that kid's I say kid, he's 32 years old, 30-something years old. But just something about his desire to go forward and to win. And something about his heart just makes me have a hard time picking against him. And considering I'm looking at a lot of favorites on the undercard and on this main card, I'm not willing to say that I want a favorite here to start the main card. I'm going Billy Quarantillo. What are your thoughts?
I think Billy Q is a very good fighter. Don't get me wrong. However, I'm going with Benitez Mowgli. All right, pal. I love what I saw from him. Even though there's only one win, he's on 1 5 win streak. He had 2 tough losses. I love what I saw from him. He came out. That flying knee to the body was disgusting. I love how he mixes it up. I'm about to pull up the odds for us here, Zach.
Go ahead.
Okay, here we go. All right, Billy Q coming at the plus 180 underdog, and the best odds for Gabriel Benitez Mowgli is at 190. So, I mean, I know it's a favorite. I like 190, minus 190. It's kind of high, but I'm taking Mowgli here. I just like his diversity.
Exactly. I think he's a very good, all around, well rounded mixed martial artist. I think his striking is very crisp. That flying knee you referenced was absolutely beautiful. But, we talked about Chris Moutinho, looked like a zombie last week, ate everything Sean O'Malley had at him, and just kept coming forward. There's just something about Billy Q that, I don't know. There's something, he's going to find a way to get it done in my head. Whether it's with one of those loopy flying overhands that you don't really train for because nobody in professional mixed martial arts throws something like that, or whether it's a weird roll into, let me get you on the ground. I don't know. I like the guy. I have a hard time, I guess, separating being a fan from being a bet picker, but
Yeah,
I'm going Billy Q.
I respect the pick, but one thing I saw in Billy Q's last fight against Gavin Tucker was as the fight went on, he started like at the beginning he had nice tight combinations, and then once it moved on to later fight, he started throwing those loopy punches, and that's kind of what worries me, especially with a guy that throws nice crisp combinations like Benitez, and like there was an obvious difference. I don't know if it was due to body shots or just the fatigue or a combination of both, but Billy Q kind of fizzled out for me when I was watching his last fight.
No, I agree. I think there's a lot of guys that come out with ground heavy game and they try to impose their will early in fights. We saw Ryan Hall do a bunch of weird stuff against Ilya last weekend, but I don't know. I agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I think Benitez's striking is about as crisp as they come. I think he's very good. I think he's very clean. But I think there's something about the way Billy Q presents himself that's just a little bit awkward and a little bit not mainstream that makes him hard to train for. That will have some of those punches present themselves like they wouldn't to less trained fighters.
I think both these guys, they're 155ers, right? Lightweight.
Yes, agreed.
Yes, I mean, even though Benitez has been in the game for a while, I think they both have like some potential still. I think they're both good up and comers.
Wait, hold on. These are featherweights. I
Oh,
misspoke. These are 45ers.
145ers, my bad. Yes. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a good fight. I think the matchmakers really did a good job on picking here and making this matchup a favorable one to watch as a fan.
Agreed. I absolutely agree. And things, I don't know. I don't know what our tendencies are, but I feel like things tend to go better when we start off with a good little headbutting, a good little disagreement to kick our main card off.
I
That
agree.
being said, I think we have another fight to talk about, Gage.
Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, coming in at 7-1, previously unbeaten until his loss against Fluffy Hernandez, coming in at a stout 6 foot and with a 73 inch reach advantage in the middleweight class, that being 185. Obviously, coming off his first loss in MMA, has various losses in grappling, of course, but this guy is the pinnacle of the word expert on the ground in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. Absolute stud on the ground. His opponent, Dustin Stoltzfus. Sorry for butchering that, pal, but he's coming in at 13-2. The American, also coming at 6 foot, 75-inch reach, and middleweight 185. He's coming off his second loss, Kyle Dawkins, in his UFC debut. Zach, what are your thoughts and initial, what's going through your mind?
Let's see. One of the things that goes through my mind almost initially viewing this fight is that Rodolfo Vieira's gas tank is very questionable. It's very sketchy. We've seen him tire out very early in fights. I think, excuse me, Stoltzfus is a ground guy too. He comes from a jiu-jitsu background. I believe he's also a black belt, although he's not notorious for competing in the competitions and having the success that Viera has.
He's not the black belt hunter.
I think that he has the repertoire to not, we talked about this kind of with Gilbert Burns and Wonder Boy. I don't think that he has the ground game to get a submission or to come out and mount an offensive Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu masterpiece. But I think he knows plenty enough about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to defend the submissions. And I think Vieira is going to come out heavy with ground game, looking for submissions, looking to get that first round finish. I think Stoltzfus is going to fluster him. I think they're going to get out of that first round, and I think Stoltzfus has the advantage on the feet, not on the fit. So
I had the advantage on the fit.
on the fit. So in my head, I think Stoltzfus wins this one. I think Vieira's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I think there very well could be a first round submission, but I see my boy. I see an American, with the crowd last week, and I see us working one out here, working out of the first round and finding success later on in the fight. It seems to be you disagree. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I disagree. I couldn't agree with you more though on the fact that Vieira, his gas tank is subpar, and like I think that he probably went back to the drawing board and tried to correct that. But one of the big factors that he can't really, plan for necessarily in his gas tanks department is the fact that he's cutting a lot of weight. He cuts a tremendous amount of weight to get down to 185, which would turn otherwise great gas tank and stamina to maybe like depleted, right? So I just feel like that was an issue. I was initially going to pick against Rodolfo, but I just didn't see enough from Stoltzfus. Honestly, he in his UFC debut, he just got hung on, and I feel like if anybody could do that, of course it could be Rodolfo Vieira doing that to him, and he just looked like out of place. He got laid on, not laid on, but the grappling, the cage work. It was a big like section of his game that he probably needed to work on. I mean, obviously, it remains to be seen if he has worked on it. But that weight was an issue to deal with for Stoltzfus, and just he got taken down too much in my opinion. And I was like, all right, Rodolfo can definitely get him down if this other Joker gets him down, and then he's going to end it there. So it doesn't matter, like in my opinion, what Stoltzfus does. He doesn't have good enough takedown defense, and once he gets to the ground, it's game over. Rodolfo is just otherworldly. He's one of the best, Abu Dhabi champion, and all the business. So let me.
No, I think Rodolfo needs to consult with Doug Martin, the ex NFL player, and contest for the nickname Muscle Hamster. He's fucking ripped. He's a massive dude, and I think he will be able to impose his will, kind of like you were hinting at. I don't think Stoltzfus will be able to stay off of his back in the first round. I think he'll have to eat some shots. I think he'll have to, recover as the fight goes on, in my opinion. But I think just as the fight goes on, I'm so skeptical about Vieira's gas tank that I think those takedowns will get lazier as the fight goes on, and Stoltzfus will be able to just stifle them enough to create success for himself in other places.
Moving on to the fight odds, best you can get for Vieira is minus 225, which is quite high in my opinion, and plus 200 for Dustin Stoltzfus. But let's take a look at some of the props. What do you think? Plus 180, it doesn't go to the decisions. I mean, I say if you're going for Rodolfo, plus 180 is pretty good. Oh, whoa, that's I'm sorry. Minus 260 doesn't go to decision. Plus 180, I don't necessarily like that.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to be that everybody's saying it doesn't go to decision, or excuse me, that it doesn't go to decision. But this is a fight that seems like it just seems like a tease. Like it almost seems too easy. Like we're all gonna question Viera's gas tank and assume that he's gonna get that submission in the first round. But something about this, just tells me there seems to be some value with that this fight does go to decision. And I'm not completely out on the idea that Stoltzfus gets a 28-27 victory with Viera winning the first round. But,
It's a
this
lot
is the
easier.
calf kick experience. You make picks. You guys spend your money wisely. And don't bet the house if you don't have the house. But, Gage, back to you, amigo. What you got?
I mean, I think that it's a lot easier to win another round by being on the ground and kind of half-assing it on the ground when you're tired, rather than being in a stand-up fight. You can lay and pray and still win a round. You can't necessarily do that when you're standing up. So, I mean, it just really depends on how badly Rodolfo wants it. And I think it was a good lesson. His last fight against Fluffy Hernandez, I think he knows like he was better than him, and he had a submission, and he wasn't able to finish it, and he gassed out. I think he went back to the drawing board and knows that he has to not gas out because then he's toast. He showed it in previous fights. The one before went to round two, did not look as gassed as he did in his previous fight. So, I mean, it depends on how well his weight cut went.
Oh,
Personally,
I think in terms of Fluffy Hernandez, kind of like you said, he's not known for being a ground guy. Like, not really. And he ended up walking out with submission there, which
he was in deep
leads.
water though. He was in deep water in the first round.
No, agreed. He definitely was in deep water. But I think Stoltzfus, for not being the name in the division that Alex Hernandez is, I think Stoltzfus is more known for his ground game, and he's better, more capable on the ground than Fluffy Hernandez was. So I'm not saying he gets a submission by any means, but I think he manages to keep himself out of deep waters against Viera in this situation.
I mean, Vieira is not even that deficient in the stand-up game either. He can hold his own. I don't like how he gets hit. He does get clipped. That's one thing I don't like. He absorbs some big shots, but I just didn't see enough from Stoltzfus to like warn like, oh, this guy has one shot knockout power, which I'm sure he does, but like it hasn't been put on display yet.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. Where in terms of my bet, a lot of this card, I'll be completely honest and blunt, considering we're, probably closing in on somewhere to between a quarter and a halfway through this show. This card is not a better's paradise.
No.
This card is a horrible better's card. However, if we're going to look at this and you're going to bet Stoltzfus and you're going to ride with your homie here, H-Town till I drown, you're going to take him by a decision. I'm not assuming he's going to get a submission in any case scenario here. And I'm with you. I don't think he has the knockout power. I just think he has the slight enough advantage on the feet and the good enough defensive takedown to not keep it there 100%, but a good enough ground game to get up off of his back and to return the fight there when necessary. The pace, all of the above to, just like I said, 28-27. Very close decision. Maybe even controversial at the end of the day, but I'm going with Stoltzfus still.
Who knows? We might have a whole card for the first time where we don't agree on a single fight.
I hate you.
I also hate you, and I hope I win.